Hey everybody, here we are back at the Red Barn, chipping away on the Ferrari Swap 914. In the last episode, we wrapped up the exhaust. It turned out great, but that cool exhaust means that the pivoting link mount needs to be redone. So in this episode, that's what we're gonna do. Oh, and at the end, we run down to Morty's and we get to watch the happy hour crew become free roaming kitties. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, enjoy. Okay, with the exhaust done, I really want to get focused on getting this thing running. So I've ordered all the electronics and a bunch of ancillary stuff. I got to get a bunch of wiring, components, and get going on firing this bad boy. But those parts aren't here yet. So rather than sit around and do nothing, I'm going to work on this a little bit. So that exhaust is now in the way of our fabulous rear pivoting link mount. So as cool as this was with the struts and the fact that it was all done, it doesn't fit anymore with this exhaust system. So what I'm going to do is this. So you're probably not going to be able to see it, but the pivoting link is here. The tabs and the mount for the pivoting link have to be back here. It's got to stop this thing from going forward and backwards, and it's got to stop it going up and down. That's what the strut system's going to have to deal with. So as near as I can tell, I've got a couple options. I just bent up this little mock-up piece of plate, so don't pay attention to the dimensions or anything. But one option is to potentially do something like this. Work out the calculation to see how much this motor moves, because remember, the exhaust and the trans and the engine move as a unit, because everything's bolted to itself. So the tricky part here would be, can I get enough clearance to the trans and enough clearance to the X-pipe that this could work? So that's option one. Option two, and again, don't worry about the dimensions of this thing, but option two would be to do an under the X skid platey kind of thing. The good news is it all has to tie into like this cross beam or other components on the engine cradle, right? It's got to tie to the chassis, because this has to be separate from the drivetrain. Drivetrain needs to move, this assembly needs not to move, so the pivoting link is supported correctly. But since no matter what I do, above or below, getting back to about here, I can use the same design. So here's kind of what I'm thinking is, some structure that comes back in here. And you can see what I've done already. I made up this little plate. That ties to these threaded bosses. I knocked off that mount that the old pivoting link structure tied to, and there's a threaded bung in here. There always was. We didn't know what might happen back here, so thankfully when Martin and I were building this cradle, we thought, let's just put some threaded bungs in the end of this thing, because you never know. And lo and behold, here we are. So one option is to do a plate system like this that comes down and then has something that extends backward, to the dimension I mentioned earlier, somewhere under here. Oh, and while I got you, this is the drain plug for the oil tank, which, as you know from previous episodes, is built into the transaxle, wraps around the differential. And so this needs to be accessed for service. And then this is, I think it might be a couple of reasons. One, it may be just a breather to allow clutch dust to get out. But also, whenever you need to lock the motor to do anything like service the engine, and you need to like take a pulley off or do anything like that to service the belts, this allows you access to the flywheel, and there's a special Ferrari tool that goes up in here and locks the flywheel against the ring gear and prevents the motor turning when you need it not to turn. So I want to keep this open, I think, certainly this, although if this thing comes on and off easy enough, maybe that's not a big deal. So I'm going to go work up some dimensions and see what I can come up with for some kind of plate that sits back here. And then I'm either going to go with, as I mentioned, something like this, or I can always make a bung that sits here, one on each side, and run a bar across this space here and tie something to that. That may be easier and more stable. Now, this is just sheet metal. Obviously, I wouldn't make it out of this. This was just a design dimension and kind of see what I think thing. So let me go play around with some stuff and see what we come up with. So it's back to the secret undisclosed shop to make some bungs for this crossbar that's going to support the rear pivoting link mount. So I just started off by facing off a bit of solid bar stock, and now I'm just going to center drill it to get the correct size hole in it, and that'll give me the blanks to start making the bungs. There's the finish cut on auto feed, going really slow to get the nicest possible finish. So it's taken a while, but it's so worth it. All right, so those are the blanks, and the hole for the fastener's been drilled. Now I got to countersink it so the Allen head can sit down inside that and doesn't protrude. All right, now I'm going to notch this first end of this crossbar. And what's nice about this tubing notcher is not only can I obviously change the angle of the cut, right? You can adjust the angle. But what also happens here, this is just a big axle, if you will. And I am going to space it up. You can see there's a big washer under here. That sets its normal height, if you want to call it normal height. But what I'm going to do is I am going to offset it by 1/8 of an inch, because I want this, well, you'd have to see the engine cradle dimensionally, but I want this bung to hold the tube and have the tube drop about 1/8. So I'm going to offset this cut by that much. And then when I cut it, you can see it's going to, this side of the tube is actually going to stay there, approximately, and it'll just offset this crossbar. So let me do that. And there you can see the notch is offset. It took a teeny bit off the top and left the entire surface at the bottom. So that worked out just like I wanted. And now I'll go fit that bung and see how I like it. And now you can see why I wanted that offset. This is 1¼ inch tube. This is a little over 1 inch bung, and you can see that with the offset that I wanted, it's now in the same plane as this. So that's better from my perspective, because if I wanted to extend a tab maybe, and because this is a bending moment right in the middle here, if I put a brace, you know, in this area, not a great design, but you know, I can always just put a bridge tab in here that bolts to here, kind of a thing, to stiffen it in the middle, or wherever I decide, you know, if I have braces that come in at an angle, whatever. But getting this in the same plane, I liked. So there you go. Now to figure out the distance and where to cut this and all that good stuff. All right, and then after a little bit of welding and some other clearancing I had to do, we have one crossbar. I had to add these 2 notches, and I'll show you why. When you get under the car, there are these 2 gussets that support this lower part of the rear of the engine case, so that when the crossbar goes on, you can see, well, those blades just contacted the edge of this thing. So it's like, well, that's not gonna work. So I had to add those little notches, and now you can see the bar goes way up, way more than the engine's gonna move. And when this goes in, we have one crossbar. And then there's what it looks like from the top. Can't hardly see it, right? Which is a lot nicer than, you know, those brackets that didn't match the angles or the cutouts or anything like that. So, right, I just think that looks a lot tidier. And we'll figure out how to support the beam coming back, or, you know, we might add a hoop. We might use a plate. We're still kicking that around. So that's it for the crossbar. I've designed up what I think is going to be the main underplate. And yeah, I know this isn't efficient, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it at an 18 gauge, knowing it's not going to be the material that I want. But this gives me a chance to play with it and sort of do the proof of concept of what I like and understand the, you know, what kind of room I've got and all that stuff. And so I got a big old honking sheet of 18 gauge, and so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this now. Pretty exciting. Probably should turn the plasma table, or the plasma, probably should turn the plasma cutter on. Ugh. All right, here's the underplate. Now, this is not the exact shape it's going to be, obviously. Well, obviously, it's not. I extended these little 1-inch sections straight out so I could clamp it to the main engine cradle, right? The big crossbar. So let me get this put on the car and see how we did. It seems like it's just more than it needs to be, and that these little corners and stuff look like great places for, you know, you run over the plastic bag, it's going to end up catching on that sort of a thing. So what I think I'm going to do, Martin had a great idea. He was over here a little bit ago, and he thought if we just made a hoop structure, oh, plus that plate covers stuff, and, you know, maybe, you know, the heat and airflow, and I want as much airflow over this X pipe as I can get. So we're thinking this is just a thing I had lying around we started playing with. But if we made a hoop structure that welded onto the crossbar approximately here on this side, so it's completely hidden from view and it clears everything. And this side's going to have to be outboard of the starter, unfortunately, but, you know, there's just no way around it. So this would be a hoop structure, which leaves everything open, and then we just have the plate that runs, you know, from here back. And so there's just this little section of plate. The rest of this is just open tube. So I think that's where we're going. I think that's where we're going. All right, I didn't really like that plate approach, so I'm going to go ahead and bend up a hoop. This is 7/8 inch 095 wall chromoly, and I've got a 2-inch radius die, which is the smallest radius that we have in tube size this range. You'd think, why don't you just use 1 inch? It's a better fit maybe down there. But the 2-inch radius means that the tube that's coming out and has to get past the starter, the tighter that radius is, the better that fit's going to be in terms of what you can see. And this stuff is super strong. It's great material to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and get the first 90 bent up into there. And as you've seen, if you've watched other episodes, this machine is an old Husfeld that's been converted to hydraulic, and there's no dial indicator angle measurer, so it's an eyeball check kind of a model. So I just do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and get this first bend bent. You can see that's a super tight radius right there. Bit of deformation when you go that tight because it's got to stretch the material on this side and compress it on this side when it's doing that bend. But there you go. So let me go check this on the table for 90. And no, it still has a little bit ways to go. And here's just a quick couple of pins here, couple of pins there. Hold it here and slide it straight across. And it contacts both of those pins at the same time. So that's a nice 90. So now to work out how far, where I need to put the second bend so I get the width I want. All right, with the first bend made and all squared to 90, I worked out where I want this other leg to come down. And the way I did it was, you can see where the tube deforms based on where the bend actually starts, where the die forces the bend to start. And I'll take you in here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a mark on the die that says, hey, that's right where this bend is gonna start happening. So you can't see my mark, but I made a mark where I want that to start on this tube, so that I just measured from where the bend starts to the inside of this leg and duplicated it on that side at the dimension that I want that other leg to come down. And here what you're seeing is what I do, because this machine is a little cattywampus and it's got some slop in it, is I just run a level across the die and then duplicate that measurement on the tube, because it matters where this bend comes around. Obviously, if I had this tube twisted up, this thing's going to come around at a different plane and you don't have a good fit, obviously. Now you can tweak these a little bit, but it's good to get as close as possible. Obviously it's good to get perfect going in. So I've got this all set up, ready to bend, so I'm going to go ahead and make this bend. Alright, sorry for the noise, but I know that that's 90, so what I can do now is, once it relaxes, I can just check it for parallel at the bottom, check it at the top, and manage the spring back until I get it where I want it. And there's a lot of spring back. Look at this. So that was probably a bit too far. So yeah, 15 3/8. And this is, yeah, so that's got to get, now I got to unbend this, which is a lot of fun, but it's doable. And first, we can check for flat. And you can see, I mean, barely out of plane. And I'll correct that. But I mean, that's pretty good for a cattywampus measurement. Yeah, so this leg, if I check this leg, yeah, you can see it's way loose here. So this leg's got to just get unbent. And what I can do is I can unbend it a little bit. And this just comes with, you know, perfect! Look at that. I was just about to say, this comes with experience. I haven't worked with chromoly a lot, and man, this stuff is really, you really got to overbend it. But, you know, where before I had my finger in there, now it's dead square. Boom, done. So that's good. Now the tweak on getting the plane right, I got to check. I always screw this up. This leg is high, so this leg needs to be pushed down. That was all my weight, plus bouncy bounce. All right, done. Look at that. No noise. Oh, the teeniest little bit. But I don't think I'm going to chase that. I'm going to say that that's pretty good. So there we go. There's our hoop. And now I just got to trim it to length. And we'll be there. All right, it's just set in place, so it could fall out at any minute. But this, and it's obviously too long because it's forced up against the exhaust, the X pipe. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. So it's welded here. It's also going to sit tipped down a bit. You know, like I said, it's pushed up in here because this little stud on this starter fastener thing is longer than it needs to be. And so this will get trimmed just a little bit, 1/4 inch maybe, I don't know. And there's got to be clearance on the outside of the starter here. But this one can tuck in under the motor, doesn't need to be outboard. So this is version 1, option 1. Well, option 2, version 1. And you can see, right? No airflow impedance, anything like that. So underneath looks pretty good. Top side, not that I'm wild about it, but you know, you can see on this side, nothing. You can barely see it under there. And on this side, a little bit more obvious, but you know, not horrible. And like I said, it'll sit farther down, so you know, it looks interfery back here, but like I say, it won't be. Yeah, so that's hoop option, right? There's A-frame option. And in either way, it's, you know, from the end of either of these, you know, assemblies backwards with some sort of plate to tie back into the pivoting link mount, right? That guy right there. So we got to get to that. And I think when you look, it sure seems like we could get a plate to sneak up in there with the right bend at the back and the right bend getting it down around the front of the X-pipe. So I think that's the next thing to go to work on, is figuring that out. And then that will determine where the interface is between either the hoop or the plate, what height those things need to be set at, and where that plate needs to get up over the X. All right, so no huge surprise. We actually didn't finish that mount, but we made great progress. And there's a couple design changes that are popping into my head here late in the game. Martin and I have been talking this afternoon, and we got a new idea that we're going to have to cover in the next episode. It's a little bit complicated to try to explain from under the car. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. Anyway, hang out for just a second, and you'll see the kitties become free roamers. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, like and share and do all that stuff. It helps the channel. And we'll look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Everybody take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, it's a special thing. We're back at Morty's because the happy hour crew is about to become free roamers. And here the maniacs are.
Hi, little sweeties.
And they're about to be let out for the first time officially. They're joining the pack. Uh-oh, the door's locked. Look how exciting this is. Electric.
Our mascot.
Our mascot, Electric. Oh, look how excited he is to help meet them. And here they come. Oh, what's that? Look at all the tails up. Everybody's got tail up.
Hi, kitties.
They're not sure what's going on. Here they come. It's the Smash Man. Oh, first thing, let's go around the corner and see what's going on. Here's Vesper. There's the Puncher. Look at the size of that boy. He's giant. And Vesper, the always slightly... Oh, no, that's Toddy over there. Look at Vesper. Oh, big hissy.
She's hissing.
Big hissy. This is very typical when cats first come out and they're a little nervous and everybody's brand new. They're not sure what the score is. So they get a little bit hissy. So, yep, they're kind of hanging by the door. Vesper's over here.
Look at Electric and Smash.
Electric and Smash. And this is very much potential. Uh-oh. Oh.
Electric reached out and bopped him one. Oh,
a little bit of hiss from Electric. Now, what's not atypical is the males, the young males, oftentimes start having a bromance with some of the older males. Oh, here he comes. Look at this Smash Man.
He's so excited. Look at his tail up.
Oh my goodness.
Where'd Punch go?
I think, where did he go? Is he over there?
Oh, he's over here.
Oh. Who's that? Oh, that's Waffle. And here's people. You can see what's going on. It's Sunday, and you can see that some of the people are starting to check out what's going on. Look at that. Look at that happy boy right there. Look at the kid and how excited they are. Oh, yes. It's the kitties. And is this Jay?
Yeah.
There's Jay. And there's Colleen over there. But you can see...
She's got a plastic bag.
She got... but you can generally see nobody seems to care much. And the mature cats are so used to new visitors and new kitties joining the lounge that they don't seem to mind anything. Now, who is this guy? This is,
That's That's French toast.
Okay, that's French toast. He's one of Coffee Cake's little babies.
Lori,
But yeah, look at this. Look at this.
it's my hair. Oh.
Oh,
Ow.
they're having a great time.
Jay. Oh. Oh, do you need help? He's like hopping on my shoulder today.
But you can see it's pretty much a non-event. Oh, and then the other thing that happens, this is Waffle, another one of Coffee Cake's litters, the litter babies. And she's in here checking out the room because this has been off limits to them for a little while. And there's Vesper.
Well,
There's little Vespy.
I think it's cool.
Hi, Vesper.
Kitty.
Hi, little Vesper. Oh, big stretch for the kitty.
Hi, sweet girl.
Yep.
Hi, little one.
The boys are checking it out.
Look at you. You're such a big girl.
And here's my wife
Look at that big girl.
visiting. We got somebody going for a ride here. And now they're checking out some of the other kitties in the other room.
Where's Toddy? Hi,
There's
Toddy.
Toddy.
Little Toddy girl. Hi,
Toddy.
sweetie. Oh, look at you. What a big
Oh,
girl.
Look at
Oh,
this.
she's purring.
This is the other important thing is that these guys, the happy hour crew is not afraid of anything, which is a really good indicator how well socialized they are. Right? They're just exploring. They're not timid. Nobody's hiding.
They're Smash.
They're not attacking anybody else.
Where's my little Smash man? Come here, little man. Hi. Oh, sweetie, you're so big.
Oh my God, they are. They're huge. Hey,
Hi.
bud.
Oh,
Hi.
he says put me
Oh,
down.
he
I'm too
wants to play.
excited.
He wants to play.
He says I've never run this far. Oh, oh,
Uh-oh.
oh, oh.
Uh-oh. Couldn't care less.
He was on top of it.
Yep. So there's another sort of new entry to the lounge. The personalities are so fascinating. They're all so different. Electric couldn't care less. He's seen a million cats come and go. Oh, look at the eyes on this boy. And now you know why he's called Electric, because he's got electric blue eyes. And Electric's the mascot. He has a heart murmur, and he's never going to be adopted. He's fine, but he's here for good. And as you can tell, he's got friends coming and going at all times. Look at this guy.
And say hello to Tanya.
Oh, this is Tanya.
Hi.
Tanya's the founder of Morty's.
Oh boy, hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Yes. Oh, and there's Colleen. She's coming down to check out the new additions. Oh, and you've got Peabody up here who couldn't care less. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. He's a big boy. Hi. Hi, Peabody. Hi, Peabody. Hello, Peabody. Oh, this guy's a wonderful kitty. He's a wonderful kitty. So there you go. The happy hour crew is now free roaming, and as we understand it, Smash is actually going home soon. Somebody's coming to pick him up, and it sounds like they're also going to be taking one of the other litter mates. They just have to come and meet them. And as you've heard me say before, adopting kitties out in pairs, or if you've already got a cat at home and the kitties have somebody to play with so that they're not bored, it's always something that Morty's does, is adopting the kitties out in pairs or to make sure that they've got a playmate at home. So, oh, look at this. Waffle's in here checking it out. Saying, hey, I want to hang out in here. Oh, and there's Vespy. Hi. Hi, little one. Hi. Hi. Oh, big tail. Somebody's got a puppy tail. What happened? Hi.
Fiona came and checked him out.
Oh, yeah, there's Fiona. So, yeah, they're just having a grand old time. And it'll be interesting because Morty's is open today, so there's going to be a bunch of people in here. And I think by that time, these guys will be nice and settled down. But you can see
They've never been in a space this big.
Yeah, they've never had this much room. And they haven't even, I'm not going to go back there. It's sort of the storage area. But there's a whole other room back here that they have access to. And they haven't even gone there yet. So, there you go. The happy hour crew at Morty's.